Good day, everyone. This is Patrick from EasyFX Code Trading System, and it's Saturday, the 25th of June, 2022. And this is the weekly technical analysis for the euro, the cable, and the Aussie dollar for the 5th and final week of June and for half the year. All right, let's begin with the euro. And actually across all these three major pairs, the whole last week has been just a consolidation phase and did not create a wide range and did not break out from any key consolidation. So let's take a look at the euro. And it basically stayed within this range for the whole week in this upper half after bouncing off the support from the 104 area and sitting between the 105 and the 106 area here. So in a fairly tight range for the whole last week. And it needs to break out from this range to at least test the next resistance zone, or if it breaks down, then there potentially could be a retest of support. But as expected, which I highlighted last week, that it's going through a consolidation phase after this significant drop back down near support. And if we take a look at the weekly time frame, and you can see that it has been also operating in the upper half of the previous week's range of which was a wide range spinning top. So it did try to break above the high of that previous week, but did not manage to do so. So that's hindered by the 106 round figure. So this coming week, it's coming to the end of the month, and it's unlikely to see any significant change for the euro, with these couple minor news coming up as well. So all the major news has already been absorbed into the price already, and this is the monthly candle so far. And it needs to, if it stays this way, that's about basically the same as the previous month with this lower wick here. So it's either going to close lower in this lower half of the candle, or if it pulls back up, then it's going to be a longer low wick and with a possible rebound for the next month. So it's just sitting there right in the middle for now. Okay, moving back to the daily time frame. So for now, we'll leave resistance as it is, no major change. Interim support is still at the 105. Okay. So likewise, you'll see what happened with the US dollar index. It was also consolidating for the most part. Let's switch over and take a look at the DXY. So here's the DXY, US dollar index, and it has also been consolidating back inside just one candle from the previous Friday. So well inside this range here. And although it has a slightly bearish tilt for the week, it's still sitting around the 104 and this previous swing high area, which aligns with the 62 fib, which is actually a 38 fib retracement back down. That's at the 103.84 area. So yeah, no major change, and it's just consolidating in this area here. Fairly tight range. So it will need to try to break out next week and attempt to either test the support level at the 50 fib here, and if it bounces back up, it's going to test the 105 again, but most likely it's going to end up neutral for the week, and likely for, let's take a look at the weekly time frame. And from the previous week, also a long-legged, almost a doji, spinning top. It's operating in a lower half of the candle range. And if we go to the monthly candle, it's still has a bullish body with a longer wick on the top, and we'll see how far the price will drop down. There is definitely strong support at the 50 fib retracement of this range here. Which is basically from the start of the month. So it's still in the upper half of the month, and if it settles at the 50 fib, then yes, then there'll be a upper wick, which is about half the range. All right. So yes, unfortunately, just consolidating. And key support is still low. We may be able to raise this up now to the 162 fib extension of this move up. The fib is still the interim support. Major resistance still at 105. Okay, so with a lot of minor news coming up in the final week of the month, it's hard to see any major or significant breakouts yet. Okay, let's move back to the other major pairs. Moving on to the cable and also consolidation. With a fairly small range for the week, about 150 pips. And almost similar to the euro, operating inside this bearish candle from the previous Friday. So just stuck inside this candle here. So support is still at the 122 round figure and has not been able to make any strides to climb up higher to test the 124, although 123 has been tested a few times at the 50 pip. So fairly tight range for the week here, and there's no major news for the UK next week. Weekly time frame, also after a massive range in the previous week, it's a very small range for the last week. So this is a significant harami now. But there is a strong support with this bounce from the previous week, and monthly pivot. The monthly candle. So far, it's also about half the range of the monthly candle here. So we'll see how this, how long this week is going to be as it closes next week, as this candle closes next week. Okay, let's move support levels here. Let's change this to the interim support. Above that is the interim resistance. Okay. And we have this candle that's restricting the range for last week. So change this color here to change to another color here. All right. Okay, quite a dull week for last week, and let's move on to the Aussie dollar. And no surprises, although it did dip lower initially as well for last week after attempting to climb up and blocked by this resistance and dipping below, but managed to recover back to about half of the range and finding support from the 69 round figure, as well as the 162 fib extension. So let's move this support out a bit. I can change this to a solid color. This is at 71 round figure. And this resistance was at the previous swing low. So on a weekly time frame, it's also a harami in the lower half of the previous week's candle and close as a spinning top and about 120 pips range. For the month, it's close for last week is at the lower part of the monthly candle, but basically it's also covering the whole range of the previous month with a bearish sentiment. All right, so let's also add a interim resistance here, the 70 round figure. All right, again, there's also just minor news this coming week. And no major trigger expected for this final week of the month. All right, and unfortunately, it's just pretty dull for last week, and we'll have to move down to lower time frames to trade intraday or even to scalp. All right, so we'll do check out my other videos on spot gold and dollar yen, and do have a safe week and a good trading week, and cheers for now.